Hey gang, this is Mike, and in this chapter we're going to be talking about owner financing. Now, this is what I love about America is the ability to buy real estate, okay, any kind, residential, commercial, through owner financing. So let's go ahead and dive in and explain um, what is owner financing. And I want to break it down into three ideas. First thing is, what is owner financing? So owner financing is the ability for you to buy residential or commercial real estate without borrowing money from a bank, without borrowing money from a hard money lender, without borrowing money from a private lender, without borrowing money from a credit card or your friends. So simply put, owner financing is ability for you to buy a rental property, a fix and flip, whatever it is, without using a bank, without using credit cards, without using hard money lenders, anything like that. Now your question is, well, Mike, well, where's the money come from? That's a very good question, and it's going to bring me to point number two. Okay, um, there's two ways to get owner financing. Okay, the first way is where the seller owns his house free and clear. And what this means is that the seller doesn't have a mortgage or a loan on the property. They have the house debt free. Okay. The second way to get owner financing is through where the seller has a mortgage, a loan, has a mortgage. Okay. And this is the strategy that I love and I specialize in because of the myth that many people think that you can't buy real estate if the property has a mortgage on it. And that's absolutely false. I specialize in buying properties that have mortgage on it because only about 30 to 33% of all Americans own their home free and clear. So the remaining 77% that have mortgages on their home or loans on their homes, I like to buy it through strategies like subject to or a wrap, which are basically an owner financing type of deal. Okay, so I explain what owner financing is when you're able to buy a property without getting a loan from the bank or hard money, and then I explain there's two types of um, owner financing. Now, there's many different ways to structure the deals, but like we talked about in previous chapters, like subject to or wraps or lease or options. These are all types of creative financing, aka owner financing. Okay, um, but if you zoom out even further, there's basically two types: people that own the house free and clear, and people that have mortgages on the property. And as you'll see, there's a lot of benefits with owner financing. Now, the last point I want to talk about, what is owner financing, is that you can use it for two strategies: buying plus selling. And I have a chapter that we talk about note creation, because when you're selling, you're creating notes. Okay, your ability to create a note like a bank does and collect interest, collect amortization, collect 30 years, 15 years, etc. Okay, but right now, what I'm talking about in this chapter in owner financing, I am focusing on the buy part. Like, if I'm an investor and I want to buy a property, how can I buy properties with owner financing? In the next chapter, we're going to be talking about notes, which is basically owner financing, but selling them to, let's say, a retail buyer that can't qualify for a loan. Okay, maybe they're a business owner, they don't have the docs or they don't have good credit, but they do have down payments. But I'm not going to get into that in this chapter. Okay, so now we talked about what is owner financing. So let's go to the next idea, which is the benefit. All right, guys. I love owner financing. This is my cup of tea. This is my black belt. There's people that like to buy at auctions. Some people like to buy foreclosures. Some people like to do, whatever, tax liens. I like to do owner financing because there's so much benefits to it, and I believe is what this is what's called exponential lever, which you're able to make a lot of money with very little money up at risk. Okay, so let's go to some of the benefits. One of the benefits, number one, is that you don't have to borrow no money from a bank. So you don't have to go to a bank. No banks. Some people like myself don't like banks or hate banks, so you don't have to go to a bank. Which brings to another reason, which is, you don't have to have no credit. Okay, now you could have great credit, or you could have poor credit. It does not matter. Or if you have great credit and you don't want to use your credit, that's even great. It does not matter. So it doesn't mean you have to have poor credit only. Okay, you can have excellent credit. Okay, but there's a benefit of not putting a loan onto your credit or onto your Social Security or onto your company EIN number. Okay, there's a lot of benefits with that. Which brings me to point number 3, which is your debt to income ratio. Okay, your debt to income ratio. So whenever you go and borrow money to buy a property, or you borrow money on your credit cards, it messes up your debt to income ratio, which means that you can't borrow more money and things of that nature. Okay, so whenever you do owner financing, it doesn't affect it. Somebody pulls up your Social Security and you have 10 houses or 100 houses, and none of these mortgages are attached or associated with your social, which is very, very powerful. Okay, so you can walk around debt free, but still have debt on someone else's because the owner give you the mortgage or the lien, not the lien, the loan. Okay. All right, guys, let's go to the next point, number 4. I love owner financing because I could get a non-recourse loan. Because I negotiate that in there, and I teach you how to do that. If you're part of the IM Mastermind, or you have my coaching, we could get into that. And I also have included some information about it in the book. A non-recourse loan is very important because whenever you go to a bank to get a loan, let's say for your home or your investment property, you're signing over 2 things. One is called DOT, which is deed of trust, which is a collateral instrument where you pledge the property to the lender in case you default so they could take the property. But the second thing you sign is called a personary note, which basically you promise to the lender that you're going to make him just, and if they can come after you, you're going to hurt your credit, and they can come after you, sue you for the deficiencies. Okay, so you're doing 2 things. But with a non-recourse, with owner financing, the way I teach and the way I structure deals myself is that I eliminate the personal liability. I tell them, hey, it's not going to work like that. If I default, which I'm not, but all you can do is take the property back, and all the money I paid on the property and created equity, you can take that back, just like a traditional way. But you're not going to be able to ever come after me because this is a non-recourse loan. If they don't agree, then I don't do it. But you don't have to set it up this way, but this is one of the ways I set it up, and this is why I like it, because I don't want to be personally reliable for. I'm already losing money on the property if it goes foreclosure because I defaulted, but I don't have a problem giving it back to them because I'm defaulting. However, there's no reason for them to come after me because, I'm an investor and I like to set it up this way. Okay, so let's go to the next point. Some more benefits is that I'm able to pay a higher price. Now, some of you are thinking, man, well, that doesn't sound like a lot of advantage, Mike. Why would you want to pay a higher price? If the house is worth 100 and everybody's paying 60 cents on a dollar, which is 60,000, why would you want to pay the seller 80,000? Well, because I don't have to get the fucking money. I don't have to pay all cash. I don't have to go borrow the money. I don't have to talk to a hard money lender. I don't have to, sign my whole life away. That's why. So I don't mind giving the seller higher price. Plus, my exit strategy is I'm a buy and hold guy, so it's okay for me. If you were trying to do a fix and flip, maybe you couldn't give the guy 80. You would have to go to a hard money lender or a different solution. Okay, that's why it's so good to know all your exit options and strategies, and that's why I've taken such a long time to do these videos, because I want to explain everything to you guys, so you have the best chance of success. The more tools you have in your toolbox, the better you're able to solve the problem. Okay, so I like owner financing because it allows me to pay a lot more money to the seller, which makes them want to go with me and giving me the house, which is, I'm going to bring in a couple other ideas. I don't have to pay a down payment, no down. Okay, I mean, I'm an investor. I'm not going to be paying a down payment. Sometimes I make the arrears if they're behind in payments, like I'm buying a subject to, but I'm not going to be paying a down payment like if I went with the Bank of America. There's times that I've got interest rates at 0%. Okay, interest rate. There's no down payments. There's a lot of options. You have a lot of options of when you want to close. You can close in 2 days, 3 days. You can close in 1 week, 2 weeks. Traditional way of closing may take 30 to 45, 60 days, if not longer, if there's problems or hiccups on the problem. Okay, but a normal closing will take 30 to 45 days. Okay, we're going with a realtor, getting a bank loan. With owner financing, you close like this, like lightning. You can close 3 days. You can close when the seller wants to close, so you can be very flexible. Okay, the other thing is that there's no junk fees. And this is very, very important, because when you go to a normal closing, they make you pay all this junk fees. So you have to buy a survey. You have to, even though it's a cookie cutter house, you're the second owner. You got to buy a survey. You got to get inspection. You got to pay the notary guy. You got to pay for this. You got to pay for that, and they just milk you. And before you know, your closing is like $2,000 or $3,000 more than it should be. And so, since you're in control, you're able to decide which fees you want to pay. If you feel like an inspection is important for you, then you do it. If you don't think it's important, then you don't do it. If you don't want to buy title policy, then you don't have to. If you know what you're doing and your attorney advises you, or your closing, whoever you trust, they say, hey, you don't have to buy title policy. It may be a 10% risk or 1% risk, or there might not be very little risk. Then you have the option to decide: do I want to pay $2 or $3 grand for just a title policy, or do I just want to keep that money? Personally, every deal that I bought, and I did it owner financing, I've never bought title policy. So imagine how much money I got to save: $3 grand, $3 grand, $3 grand, $3 grand, and so on. In Texas, the title policy, the state sets, so it's just a fixed price for the price of your home. And every house that I sold, I never had any problems with them. I sold them, the new buyer, going through the MLS, they were able to get titles. They paid for it, but I didn't have to pay for it. So gives you a lot of options. You don't have to do any of these risky things. You can just play by the book, or if you're more professional and you like to take more risk and save more money, then you have the option. Where with a traditional, you don't have that, and that's the key here, that you have the freedom. You have the freedom. You can buckle up if you want to. You don't have to buckle up. It's up to you. Okay, guys? All right. Let's go to the next point. This is a very important point right here. This is a very important point. I think all of these are very important, and that's why I love owner financing, and this is why I like doing this. Okay. All right, guys. Let's go to the next point. The next point is that the interest rate you'll pay is way less. Okay, it can be zero if the seller owns this house free and clear. When you give the offer, the way I teach it. Okay, if you want to know, the way I do it is I give them, the offer without the interest rate, and I make it zero. Okay, and if you want to know how to do that, you need to get on my website, download my No Fluff Negotiation Acquisition System. It shows you how to do that, and download my Terminator offer letter. Those two together will allow you to get owner financing. That is the only other module you'll need if you want to do owner financing. I really went and really explained the negotiation and the offer. Those two together, put together with this book that I'm giving you, it's going to allow you to get owner financing. There's a lot of benefits with owner financing. So this is the only other thing you need to do this. Okay, some of you guys or be able to go out there and give offers without these, but I would think like 75% of you guys would probably want to get this, because without this, it's going to be a lot harder. You know, you're going to figure it out. I figured it out. It took me a long time, but this is the shortcut to get what you want right now. Okay, guys? All right, so let's talk about the interest rate. The interest rates are going to be a lot lower. What do I mean? If you went to a bank right now and said, look, hey, I want to be a landlord, or I want to be a fix and flip, and I want to get a commercial loan, basically that's what it is, they're going to give you a lot higher interest rate versus if this was with your homestead, okay, if you were going to buy this for your own personal home. When you try to go and buy a home personally for your own homestead, you pay the lowest interest rate because you're actually owner occupied, okay? So it's a lot less riskier for the lenders and even for insurance companies. So if you go to the bank and say, look, I want to become a landlord and I need to get some properties, they're going to give you a lot higher interest rate. One of the best things about owner financing is that sometimes you can get 0% interest if the seller owns the house free and clear, but if they have a mortgage and you just buy their home by just buying it with just taking over the payments, okay, it's one strategy, okay? We just take over the payments. So if the seller mortgage is 3%, then you just take over the 3%. And if you went and try to get a commercial loan, you might be paying 7%, 9%, even in today's low market, which is right now 2017. So what am I saying? That getting commercial loan interest is a lot higher versus a homestead loan, which is what you're going to be taking over the loan, okay? So this is very, very powerful. Let's talk about number 10, caps, okay? And there's no caps. Well, what do I mean? So let's say you had great credit and you had a lot of money to put down, because the bankers, when you do a commercial loan, they want 20%, 10%, even more. So let's say you had great credit and you had, you know, a good chunk of money to put down, and the bankers, you go get your first deal to do. Let's say it's a fix and flip, or it's a rental, okay? Let's assume it's a rental landlording situation. The bank will give you the first deal, you know, and the second deal, you go ask them again. They may think about it. They may give it to you. On the third deal, now there's going to be problems, okay, because there's a cap. You've already borrowed too much. You're too much in debt. The third and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh, that's where you're going to realize that you're not going to be able to borrow money from a lender anymore, because your debt to income ratio, okay, your debt to income ratio and how much debt you have is not now too much for the lenders, okay? But with owner financing, there is no cap because it doesn't affect your debt to income ratio. You don't go to the banks. So as many motivated sellers you can find that are willing to, you know, do owner financing, then you can get as many properties as possible. That's why there's people out there that'll have like 20, 100, or 1,000 rental properties without having any mortgages, because they're just doing owner financing, or they're using one of these creative strategies, because there's a cap that any bank will allow you, you know, to borrow. After that, they're like, oh, you have too much debt. No, we're not going to give you any more money to buy another property. So these are very, very powerful. Guys, let's talk about the very last thing, which is number 11. And the number 11 benefit is that you can use owner financing for all types of investment strategies, okay? I use owner financing for buy and hold, where I become a landlord, okay? You can use owner financing for creating new notes, which we'll talk about in the future chapters. You can use owner financing to do fix and flips, okay? Many people think they have to go to a hard money lender to, you know, do fix and flips. No, the reality is you can have the seller carry the note for you in a fix and flip, okay? And maybe you could split some of the profit, or you could maybe give them a little bit more money, or incentivize them one way or another, and they can do it. So owner financing, you can do all types of deals, okay? Many people don't realize it. Another thing is, with owner financing, you can do wholesaling. Now, when you find a deal, let's say 60 cents on a dollar, there's a lot of people that are interested, but not so many people have cash to get it. But if you do owner financing, and let's say you're asking for an assignment fee of $5,000, and altogether, you know, $6,000, $7,000 for the close and everything, there's more people out there that are willing to come up with $7,000 and buy a house subject to or owner financing or a wrap, okay? So there's a lot more. So you're going to be able to have a faster exit strategy because there's more people. Not only there's investors, but there's also a lot of people, let's say on Craigslist or Backpages, that want to own a home but they can't get a mortgage, and if they have 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand. So what I'm saying is wholesaling is very powerful with owner financing because you create different pawns. You have the pawns of the cash buyers, cash investors. You have the pawns of the people that can't qualify and get a home called retail people. And you have the pawns of the investors that love owner financing like myself. So you just create yourself 3 bigger pawns to, catch bigger fishes. In this case, sell your fishes that you already caught, guys. So the benefits of owner financing is just extra. I love it. You don't need money. You don't need credit. You do need a bunch of skills, and I'm going to go over it, okay? One other thing I want to talk about is that you keep hearing me say subject to, or you keep hearing me say wrap. Now, these 2 ideas are very similar, but there's major differences between them, and I talk about it in my other videos right now. I just want to summarize so you know these strategies. But just know when I say subject to, what that means is I'm going to take over the seller's mortgage, or I'm going to take over the seller's monthly payments. I'm going to own the home, and instead of me getting the money from a bank, I'm just going to take over their mortgage. And I have videos about explaining this fully. And the wrap is exactly the same thing, but the only difference is I'm creating a new note. And I have a definition glossary for you in the other book, the longer book that talks about the definition of what is a deed, the note, etc. So make sure you learn the terminology, guys. All right, so let's go to the next idea. All right, guys, let's go to the next idea. And the next idea is, how do you find owner financing? And that's a very, very good question because, thank you, Bird, because it's all about marketing, guys, all about marketing. Creative financing, owner financing, these strategies all about marketing and finding these people, okay? So the great news is, since you bought my book, I've given you my 39 marketing book, okay? And what this book does is uses free and paid, but I highly recommend for you to go ahead and download or buy or invest in yourself my no fluff, the 40 free ways, proven free ways, okay? But I have a book basically that talks about 40 free ways to find motivated sellers. Now, if you add the 40 plus the 39, you can see then you're gonna have almost like 79 ways to find sellers. If you spend this little money here, you're gonna be grateful because it's all about creative guerrilla marketing, and I get into this like crazy, okay? But in here, I talk about a lot of good stuff. I give you marketing assets, and this one's totally for free, all right? And this one is, I believe, like about 200 bucks, but it's a great investment because it's all about knowing where to go to find these, okay? Now, remember, marketing is 2 ways, free or paid. If it's free, you got to put a lot of time in. If it's paid, then you get to save on time. And I'm just giving you the secret. If you want to invest in the other one, you can. You don't have to. This one will take you where you want to go. I would buy it because the more ways you know how to find the fishes, the better your opportunity is, guys, okay? Now, let's talk about some of the cons of owner financing. Now, guys, I guess I have a biased opinion because this is my specialty. This is my cup of tea. I think this is the holy shit, okay? But now I want to be some realistic. Is there some cons to it? There's cons to everything in life. Like, that's how the add-in works. There's positives and there's negatives. So it's part of life. Now, I was thinking, what are some of the cons that I could think about? There's the cons that most people talk about, which is called DOS, the due on sell clause. Out of all the deals I've done, I never had a problem with that. What I realize is, the bankers, they don't care. From my experience, all they care about is getting their money. They're just a third party. They don't even have to know. Sometimes they're just a service provider, and they just want to get their money. As long as it's a performing note, you make the monthly payments, the due on sell is it doesn't affect it. There's strategies that I should teach you, on my blog. You go check it out. It probably will be in the book as well. How to structure deals to protect yourself more on the do on sell, which is highly recommended. I do some of this stuff like with the insurance, but I don't fear this. When I first started, when I first got up 2 or 3 properties, I was kind of scared about it, but then later, I realized it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. Please understand that any investment is risky. You can lose your shirt, you can become homeless. So don't get me wrong, okay? Everything is risky. Driving from here to your mama's house is risky. You can wreck and die. So I want to say that, all right? I'm not an attorney or CPA. I'm just a refugee, but I don't sweat the DOS anymore, okay? The problem that I've encountered more, I've never encountered this zero out of all the deals I've done. What I've encountered is that there was a couple of sellers that their situation changed like 6 years later since after they sold me the property. One of them was like they were going to go to divorce but decided not to, and they wanted the house back. But the way I structured it and the way I teach you, they can't get the house because I own it. I have the deed. There's not much they can do about it, okay? And they agreed to sell it to me just like a normal closing, okay? So you can't just sell somebody. So they told me about it a couple of times, but there's nothing they can do, okay? So that could be another thing, is that the old seller maybe wants his house back, but there's not much they can do because they already deed it to you. You did the right paperwork at the title company. There's not much they can do. Zero. I mean, they've already given the rights away. You've been making the monthly payments. You own the house. You may pay for their closing. You may pay the rear payments. It doesn't make any sense. And when they take it to an attorney, they're going to realize that they can't get the house back because they made a clean sell. Okay. All right. So the due on sell, the seller may want the house back. Is there any other things with it, with the owner financing? Maybe your situation will change. Maybe one minute you'll have money and next you won't have money, or your business won't be successful, or you might have great health and then later on your health might deteriorate. So your situation might change and you may not be able to make the payments to the seller. So those are some cons about it, but like any investment, you can lose your money. So that's just part of any investment. Stocks, real estate, gold, silver, Bitcoins, it does not matter, guys. All right, so simply put, I love this strategy. I'll do it over and over, and I don't think there's that many cons to it. I like to add one of the other pros that I forgot to talk about earlier. One of the benefits, which is a great benefit of owner financing, is that, if you're doing fix and flips and other types of things, you have to buy the property like 60 cents off the dollar, okay? All right? That's always pretty tough. But it's easier to buy properties, when you pay a little bit higher, okay? I don't have a problem buying owner financing if the house is worth $100K. I don't have a problem buying the house for $100K. Okay. Now it's not going to work with a fix and flip, but for owner financing, being a landlord, this works perfect for me. I don't care if the ARV is worth $100K and I have to pay $120 or $110. I don't care, especially if I control all the terms. Okay, and I go into it in my no fluff negotiation. That's why you got to get that, because when you do owner financing, the asking price does not matter anymore. It's because you don't have to go get a loan. You get a non-recourse. You don't have to do all this crazy stuff, pay all these junk fees. And for me as a landlord, if I buy a house at $100K is worth $100K, I don't care. I'm gonna buy and hold it. If what I have to pay to the seller, or if his underlying mortgage that I'm taking over, okay, to his lender is $1,000 a month, that includes PITI, right? Principal, interest, tax, and insurance, okay? And I could rent this property out for $1,300 a month, rent. I don't care that it's 100 today. I don't care at all. I'm making $300 positive cash flow. The way I buy my rental properties, I don't buy in war zones. I only buy in appreciating areas. I'm very picky. I bought a pretty home. It didn't need any work. Okay, and so I'll sit there and take $300 a month. Okay, times 10. What is that? 3,000. and you got another, so you got 3,600 a year. Are you kidding me? After a year, where can I do that? You know, if I had to give the seller, let's say, you know, $1,000 in his pocket, and with another closing is $2,000, then you can see that my return on my investment, I don't have a calculator right now, would be so much more than any other investment vehicle out there, guys, exponentially, okay? Your cash on return, because if the whole thing costs you $2,000, okay, you paid the seller $1,000, your closing was $750 or something around there, and there was another $250 for whatever, okay, and your first year you made $3,600, well, you got that money back and you made extra. The next 4, 5, 6 years, you're making money. Meanwhile, the renters are paying off this debt. So it goes from 90, you know, in 5, 6 years, it might be, you know, 80, 89, right? So they're paying off the debt. Meanwhile, you're getting the appreciation, okay? Meanwhile, you get all the tax benefits, okay? You're getting fucking positive cash flow. So to me, I love owner financing because now I don't have to worry about the price. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. I'd rather buy the house at 60 cents like every other motherfucker, right? Everyone wants to buy it super cheap. Me too, dude. Me too. But here's the problem. Everybody's trying to do the same thing, and it's hard to get these deals. So it's better for me to even offer a higher price to get it, because I don't have to come up with a down payment. If I went to the bank and got the same deal, I had to come up with 10% down. Well, that's 10K. If I give the seller $2K, $1,000 in his pocket at $750 in closing and $250 in miscellaneous, right? Well, do you want to pay 10K or 2K? And then I don't have the loan under my name. There's no recourse loan. I mean, so on and so on. I'm making $300 positive after paying the principal, which is the debt, the interest, the taxes, and the insurance. I still make $300. Where can I go invest $2,000 and make $300? Nowhere, man. Okay, and this is a very safe investment. If the renter burns my shit down, that's why I have insurance. Okay, they can't pick it up and move somewhere, right? So, to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm willing to even buy a house for 110 if it's worth 100. I even bought houses back in the crash 2007, fourth quarter 2008. It was worth 100. I bought 120. And then the same ass house, when I sold it, just recently, I made $100,000, like $76,000 in equity, cash out instantly, right? And then all the monthly cash flow. I mean, so it was a win for me. I got a lot of depreciation. I got a lot of tax benefits. No brainer, dude. Now, I'm not telling you to do this, okay, to buy houses above farm market. So your strategy, you have to think for yourself. For me, this strategy worked. It still works. I'm still willing to. Of course, I'd rather buy it at 60 cents. Of course, I'd better buy it at 70, 80, 90 instead of full price or even more. But if I don't have to come up with any money, if the guy wants 100K and it's worth 100K, I don't have to come up with any money, and he has a 2% interest rate or 3% interest rate, and I can rent that shit out, make $500-600. Sure, dude, all day. The house is in a great area. It's not a war zone. It doesn't need any. The guy, got a divorce. They got to sell the home. Fuck yeah, dude. I don't have to do anything. They even done some rehab to it. Like the ones I bought, they put a swimming pool. They put towel. I mean, it was no brainer, dude. I mean, I'm making positive cash flow. You get 10 of those. That's $3,000 a month instead of $3,000 a year. Okay. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Okay. So this is why I love owner financing. Now, we talked about the cons, but I want to stop here and talk about this. Let's talk about one more thing. Now, a lot of people say, oh man, there's no owner financing out there, man. There's no owner financing out there. Well, the reason is, majority of you, if you're already putting offers in, you don't put offers in with owner financing. Get my no fluff and my Terminator offer letter right off my website. Is going to change your whole game, guys. So if you don't put the offers in, it's hard to get it. If you don't show the sellers benefits for them to get it with owner financing, they're not going to, because you have to sell them on the idea. It's not like people only know the traditional way, which is get a realtor, they get a borrowed money, they pay off the seller's loan. This other way, you have to sell them and educate them, because they don't know this way. So you have to educate them. Does that make sense? It's not like, hey, let's do a master lease, because every seller knows what a lease is. but most sellers don't know what a subject to is or a wrap is. So there's going to have to be a lot of education to explain to them, okay? Now, let's talk about the skills you need. Very first one, guys, you need the fucking education, okay? It's very important you understand the ins and outs of this. You understand the terminology like note, deed, deed of trust, etc. It's very important that you can explain to the seller like the do on sell process, how's the interest going to work, you know, how the deal is going to be structured, you know, everything, okay? It's very, very important. It's very important that you educate yourself, learn the new laws because they're always changing, and know if it works in your state, and if not, what do you have to do to make it work in your state? Because all this stuff works, but in different states, there's different requirements. Like in Texas, you know, you can do a master lease, but if you want to do a lease option, then you have a certain amount of days, you know, before they start penalizing you X many dollars a day because you can't go over like 180 days and not give the person the deed. So like options and a master lease or lease options are not great ideas in Texas. But you can do subject to, you can do wraps, you can do owner financing, you can do master leases. So you just have to learn about your local areas, okay guys? So no big deal, okay? But what I'm saying is you have to spend a lot of time in your education. Now, a lot of people reach out to me and they don't want, you know, they only reach out to me when they get in trouble. They don't reach out to me to get the information beforehand, right? So they only reach out to me when they get in trouble, like, oh man, I'm in trouble, you know, what should I do? Guys, this is why you got to spend your time in education. You can lose your money, you get lawsuit, so you got to educate. If you want to use this advanced move, you have to educate. You got to be in the mat. You got to be practicing all the time. And information is, you know, it's going to cost you money. If you're not willing to commit to your success, then, you know, I don't know what to tell you guys, but you got to. And you're watching this because you understand that you have to commit. Okay, so realize that you got to put the time in, but it's worth it, man. I mean, the benefits of owner financing are so great. You can become wealthy. You can create wealth for your family. You can create an income-producing asset that's passed down generations. So it's very, very, very powerful. But it's not some shortcut or magic pill that you take and you lose 50 pounds. Okay, it's nothing like that. You got to do the hard work. So the first skill is education, without a doubt. Okay. The next one is negotiation, guys. You got to be able to negotiate this, and a lot of people can't get owner financing. I've said it before. They don't get the offers in. This is one of the things you have to solve right now, and I just showed you how to do it, guys. Okay, you need my no fluff negotiation. If you get on my website, you'll see it in my Terminator offer letter. These two together is the only modules you need to add to this book to get owner financing. I'm going to talk a lot about owner financing, but we don't go into that because there's so much information already for this book. Okay, guys? But you need these two modules. These are very short modules, but these are the things that are going to allow you to get owner financing. So you need negotiation. Where do you get that? Some of it is in this book, a lot of it, but you need these two modules. Highly, highly, highly recommended, guys. All right. You're going to need marketing. I mean, guys, this is all about marketing. The good news is I've given you my book, the 39 No Fluff Marketing, totally for free. Just go chow it down, okay? If you want more, get the 40 proven free, okay? Marketing for $200. Highly recommend that as well, okay? The other thing you need is sales, okay? You got to have some sales experience. But again, if you're willing to educate yourself, then you're gonna be okay in any of these. You don't have to be an expert in any of this stuff. This doesn't have to be like you got to be an expert in sales. No, but you have to be willing to understand like open-ended questions, like how to ask questions from the seller, to probe them, to get information. So if you don't have the skills to do that, or if you've never done that before, then it's gonna be a little challenging. But if you have like, you know, you've done cold calling, you've done door knocking, you know, you sold products, you know, you've done a lot of communication over the phone, you work at a waiter, then you have people skills. So the next thing is people skills, guys. You gotta have people skills. It's hard to get owner financing if the owner doesn't like you, if the owner doesn't trust you. So that's it. There is no bank, there's no stinky banker or some fucking duty management. No, the owner. It says owner financing. If the owner does not like you, then you're gonna be sad and you will not get the deal. If the owner likes you, you will get the deal. So people skill is a must. you have to listen to people. You can't talk so much when you go to meet these sellers. You got to shut up. You got to ask them a lot of questions. If you don't know what to ask a seller, I highly recommend downloading my seller phone script, guys. It'll be worth it. I have so many open-ended questions that you need to know so you can negotiate, you can sell, okay? So you can structure the deals with these two, okay? So very important, my seller phone script. If you don't have it, you need it. Very, very crucial. It goes with these two, okay? They're like modules. When you put them together, it's a big transformer that's gonna help you succeed. So guys, owner financing is very, very powerful. Remember, you can buy houses if they have no mortgages, called free and clear, or you can buy houses if they have mortgages. Remember that, with owner financing, the numbers may not matter. Of course, you want to buy at a deep discount, but you may be able to pay 100% on the dollar. Depends on your exit strategy. So don't scratch it out because the seller wants full price. You could still may be able to do the deal if your exit strategy allows you to buy at a full price. If you're looking for cash flow and it's not in a war zone, or depending on your exit strategy. So with owner financing, all the other deals that you would just throw in the trash, now you have the option to recycle it and figure out a way to create a win for you and for the seller. It's a very win situation. If you're only looking for cash deals or a home run, there's a lot of deals you're missing. So sometimes it's better to just do one base or two base or three base, at least hit the damn ball and bring the guys homes. Okay guys, see you in the next chapter.